Properties of a rectangle. Opposite sides of a rectangle are going to be parallel. So we'll mark those with our arrows. Opposite sides of a rectangle are congruent. We'll mark those with our congruent lines. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So this angle and this angle will equal 180. This angle plus this angle will equal 180. This angle plus this angle will equal 180. And this angle plus this angle will equal 180. Diagonals bisect each other. So this side will be the same length as this, and this side will be the same length as this one. Now, at this point, we have all of the characteristics of a parallelogram. So this figure is already a parallelogram. But now we're going to add two additional characteristics. The first one is, in order to be a rectangle, these four angles must be right angles. And we also know that the diagonals are congruent. So not only do they bisect each other, but they're also equal to each other. Let's use what we know to solve some missing parts. All right. Opposite sides are congruent. So that would make SR 24, and it would make QR 10. We have parallel sides. Now, in order to find the length of SQ, we have to remember that this is a right triangle and this is a right triangle. So this is the hypotenuse of both of those right triangles. So I can find SQ by doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A would be 10 squared plus b, which is 24 squared, is going to give me c squared. 100 plus 576 c squared. C squared is going to be the square root of 676. Square root. So C is going to equal 26. Okay, what that means then is SQ is going to be 26. Well, in a rectangle, the diagonals are congruent, so that means that PR is also going to be 26. So we can fill in our missing parts. QR is 10, SR 24, SQ 26, PR 26, and QT, well, if they are diagonals, they bisect each other, so that would make QT 13. It would also make ST 13. And it would make PT 13, and it would make TR 13. Now let's look at the angles of a rectangle. If we have the first angle, 64, we know that our diagonals bisect each other. So that means that this side is congruent to this side, but this side is also congruent to this side because remember that the diagonals are congruent. Okay, so that gives us 4 isosceles triangles. With an isosceles triangle, we know that the base angles are going to be equal. So let's take the 64. We're going to minus that from 180, and that's going to give us 116. We're going to take 116, divide it by 2, and that will give us 58 and 58. Now, if this angle is 64, this angle is 64. So that would make this angle 58 and this angle 58. If I take 164 away from 180 because these are linear, that tells me that this angle is 116 and this angle is 116. Now, if I take 116 away from 180, that leaves me with 64. If I take 64, divide it by 2, that's going to give me 32. So that means this angle will be 32, 32. Up here will be 32, 32. And also notice that when I add these two together, I get 90. These two make 90. These two make 90. And these two make 90. And that's how you find missing parts of a rectangle.